Hey everyone, Adelson on Twitter asked me to make a vlog regarding Mark Davis' statements, and by extension also Oakland Raiders president Mark Badane's statements to ABC7 in San Francisco and Oakland, as I was informed of by ABC7 after I appeared on the news Friday night talking about the actions of the Nevada Assembly in approving the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Act, within which includes ostensibly will be a $750 million subsidy that will be used for an NFL stadium that one believes is going to be used by the Raiders if they receive approval from the NFL to move. Now, I want everyone to become aware of something called the National Football League Compliance Plan. It was released in July of 2015 last year by NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. The link to it is within this video in the description at the bottom. And it is a detailed, if you will, playbook on how every member of the National Football League, owners, employees, players, agents, business associates, should conduct themselves. And it has areas on anti-corruption and business opportunities. Within this, and this gets to Al's question, Mark Davis is really flirting with an evaluation of his actions with respect to the NFL compliance plan. Now, that is my opinion. It is ultimately up to the NFL and NFL legal head by Jeff Pash to take a deep look into what has gone on thus far. But let me offer. First of all, Mr. Davis has partnered with Las Vegas Sands and Sheldon Adelson, and Mr. Adelson has a track record of being in the middle of lawsuits that allege that his business systems, specifically his hotels, and more specifically the Venetian Macau, the Las Vegas Venetian, and the Las Vegas Palazzo, have aided Chinese high-rolling gamblers in hiding their bet monies by the use of shills. Why? Because those gamblers don't want paper trails regarding what they've spent, and by extension, they don't want anyone trying to find out how they made their money. Where Las Vegas Sands, if you will, tripped up was a gambler by the name of, I believe, Hung Wei Chung. In 2012, lost $90 million at the Venetian in Las Vegas. That triggered an investigation which ultimately found that he had $207 million of cold hard cash in his living room and had violated international corruption laws with respect to doing business with Mexico. He was later extradited to Virginia. That's one example. Then, of course, there is the whistleblower lawsuit brought by now former Las Vegas Sands CEO Stephen Jacobs. And Mr. Jacobs alleges that Las Vegas Sands, headed by its CEO, Mr. Adelson, Sheldon Adelson, encouraged him to work with the same type of Chinese gamblers that I'm telling you about, and using that system of shills that I mentioned a few seconds earlier ago in this video. Mark Davis, by partnering with Sheldon Adelson, and particularly on Monday when he stands with Sheldon Adelson, unless something happens, and signs the document that approves SB1 as passed, will have attached himself to Sheldon Adelson's image and to his recent history, and also the ongoing shareholder lawsuit that Mr. Adelson is the focus of. The bottom line, the obvious question is, did Mark Davis and the Oakland Raiders receive money from either Sheldon Adelson or Las Vegas Sands? That's the first question. The second question is relating to Las Vegas Sands lobbying of Nevada legislators, members of the Senate, and members of the assembly, as well as the alleged offering of bribes, the alleged action of bullying. Those two actions, because after Monday, Las Vegas Sands will be considered, for all practical purposes, a business partner to Mark Davis and the National Football League, and will have the appearance of being in business with the Oakland Raiders and Mark Davis, now are suddenly part of the NFL's compliance plan, and their history becomes essentially part of the Oakland Raiders image. And so, because of that, Mark Davis is very close, perilously close, to activating that compliance plan. And as to how the NFL will resolve that problem, I do not know. I do, however, assert powerfully that Mr. Davis is right at the point where, come Monday, when he meets with Mr. Adelson and the governor of Nevada, and that signature is signed, he has opened the door to being looked at in conjunction with the actions of Las Vegas Sands and Mr. Adelson in the recent past and the past. Now, going back to the actions of Las Vegas Sands, the NFL compliance plan, the NFL compliance plan is specific in its desire for any action that violates the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. On at least 2 occasions, Las Vegas Sands has been fined for actions related to violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Now, at this point, if you're screaming that Sheldon Adelson doesn't own the Raiders, I remind you, if you didn't know this, or if you've forgotten this, or I tell you if you didn't know this, that approximately 3 weeks ago, Mr. Adelson specifically stated that of his interest in owning a portion, or at least some portion, of the Oakland Raiders, to which Mark Davis rebuffed him through the media. But now that we have gone down this path and they are going to stand with each other on Monday, obviously the question of whether or not Sheldon Adelson is going to pursue ownership will be once again brought forward, if it hasn't already privately between the two of them. Now, the problem faced by the looming press conference on Monday for the Raiders and for the league by extension is that Sheldon Adelson's people, his lobbyists and government affairs operations personnel, are alleged to have used bribery tactics and coerced government officials. That's an allegation that came out of the actions both at the Senate and the Assembly of this past week. The NFL compliance plan has specific language against such actions, even by anyone who seeks to do business with the National Football League. I think you and I will agree that Las Vegas Sands and Sheldon Adelson seeks to do business with the National Football League. So I could go on, but in this 8 minutes or over 8 minutes, you're getting a great taste of the problem that Mark Davis faces. It's more than just needing a 2/3 vote to relocate. It's the actions that Mr. Davis and the Raiders, in conjunction with Las Vegas Sands, have taken to this point already. That is the big issue. And so, getting back to the main question, can he simply just walk out of Oakland? The answer is no, not at all. Also, there is the relocation bylaws, which specifically assert that the team must maintain a great working relationship with its community. This week, and this gets to the comments the Raiders made, they have went out of their way, once again, to make disparaging remarks about the mayor of Oakland, even though the mayor of Oakland has not made publicly direct disparaging remarks about the Raiders. Okay? And they have, on other occasions, and this is from other people who've told me, and I've mentioned this before, have privately made comments about her that would lead one to think that they are not comfortable working with a woman political business executive, in this case the mayor of Oakland, who is a woman. Given that the person that Mark Davis is partnered with, or officially about to be partnered with, Sheldon Adelson, has given $25 million to a PAC that supports Donald Trump, and who, as you know, has a gigantic and growing woman problem, you would think that the Raiders would be extra careful not to attach themselves to anyone or any group of people that are seen as being mean to or disparaging of women, particularly women in business, and particularly the mayor of Oakland. So again, I hope you get a good idea of what I'm talking about here. No, the Raiders cannot just move on their own and walk out, but it's far more to it than that. And the Raiders, as far as I'm concerned, are already in a great deal of trouble.